Hello, and thank you for watching. This is for those who can and who want to do more. You have options in the description below. Pick the one that fits you best. I will always suggest the membership program because it is the most easiest and most affordable way to support the channel. But understand, by you watching from start to finish, interacting with the video, pressing like, subscribing if you haven't done so, helps my algorithm a ton. So don't minimize the essence of a viewership. So thank you so much. The knife sheath, which is considered, by all accounts, the murder weapon, contained DNA. In that knife sheath, Bryan KOHBERGER's DNA was there. I'll dive more into that. But, of course, this is just a commentary. So if you're new here, I am Alistair Nzekio, and this is just my point of view. Let's get started.
Did they give any specific examples of what this evidence could be?
No, they didn't get into specifics, but it's interesting because it's kind of like a new science. The judge today alluded in court to the fact that this hasn't been used in Idaho cases much before, maybe ever before. So it's new to him. And it's interesting. I mean, if you remember, basically when they found the DNA on the knife sheath at the murder scene, they then used this investigative genetic genealogy to go back, 23andMe and these companies where you give your DNA, they can get access to those databases. And that's how they narrowed down the suspect pool to get to Bryan KOHBERGER.
It's been nearly 1 year since the 4 University of Idaho students were found brutally murdered. On November 13th of 2022, Moscow officials received a 911 call reporting someone unconscious in a home near campus. First responders found the bodies of Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez stabbed to death. It wasn't until weeks later in late December when KOHBERGER was arrested.
Detectives arrested 28-year-old Bryan Christopher KOHBERGER in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Xana, Madison, and Kaylee.
KOHBERGER was taken into custody at his parents' home in Pennsylvania and then later extradited to Idaho. Since then, he's been held at the Latah County Jail in Moscow, less than 2 miles from the crime scene. That's where he appeared virtually to Thursday's court hearing.
I couldn't see him, but he appeared via Zoom with his lawyer. The camera on the Zoom was focused on his lawyer and Taylor. They were in the basement below the courtroom, which is where the jail is. There's a small jail here in Latah County.
Did they make any mention as to why it was via Zoom and not in person if they were so close?
They've done this before with Zoom when it's more of a scheduling hearing and not something really significant. They'll do the hearing on Zoom, just I think more as convenience for all the parties involved.
We're already in the process of making sure we've gathered everything from the private contract DNA company. So we'll have that ready to submit along with what we receive from the FBI once we get it.
As part of the hearing, Enton says prosecutors noted they're working with both the FBI and a private lab to receive information.
It sounded like they were having an easier time getting the reports from the private lab, but the delay really seems to be with the FBI. The prosecutor said that before the FBI can send the report, they had to get permission from the DOJ. So it's just turning into like a really, really long process.
Does it sound like something prosecutors are confident can happen in less than a month, have all of these reports ready to go?
No, they did not sound that confident to me in court today. It sounds like they're, sort of at the mercy of the FBI. The prosecutor said that he was going to call the FBI again today and try to push them along, but they say that they're waiting on the FBI to send them the reports so that they can then send the reports to the judge.
When that information does finally come down, the judge will have to review it, and it's possible he could deem some of the information inadmissible.
In the order addressing IgG DNA. I also understand that the state and the defense have different lists. So I will look at it and I'll muddle through it as best I can.
He's going to have a lot to go through, the judge, to figure out if there is any confidential information that's basically irrelevant and that the defense doesn't need to see. I think it's possible that some of the stuff could be redacted. But again, this is all new for the judge. I mean, he said that today. It's complicated, this IgG, investigative genetic genealogy. He may even need like an expert to possibly help him understand it all. They may even need to have another hearing where he's able to ask questions. So it seems like this is really just the beginning of the process.
And we've also talked about the prosecution a lot here, talking about the information that they're hoping to gain from the FBI. But did the defense speak up at all about anything?
Yeah, the defense is frustrated. I mean, it came through today in court. They've been waiting on these reports. They feel like it's about time they got them and were able to go through them. And, you know, it's becoming clear that this IgG, this investigative genetic genealogy, this DNA, is something that's important to the defense. That's going to be probably a pivotal part of the defense that they put on at trial.
I'm hoping that the court will do is just create a list or a log of what the court receives, not the detail of the content, but things like the raw data SNP profile from Othram, the communications between Othram and the FBI, not the content, just that you have those. The statistical analysis that happened within the profiles when making decisions, when the genealogist made decisions about the family tree, that you have the statistical analysis, that you have the bioinformatics or the microarray, that you have access to those things. That's it.
What's important to note here is that there is clearly a difference between investigative genetic genealogy, which is not to be confused from what I understand from just using a DNA. So as a judge mentioned, as you heard, the judge, this is the first time ever in a court of the district where they are that they've used this method. And so the judge wants to know more. And quite frankly, I want to know more as well. What is investigative? Okay, so it's very simple. Genetic genealogists work with investigators to narrow down suspects based on factors like their presumed age and where they were living at the time of the crimes. But the leads they generate are just that, leads, and sometimes leads are wrong. This last part is significant because what we know already from the prosecution and what they've done, they've enlisted the help of the FBI. And from what we understand, they have already gone through other potential suspects. And he was the one that happened to be the best statistical match. I mean, that is a very significant word, statistical match. In other words, from my little scientific brain here, what I hear that as is that there were plenty of other DNA on there. But there's one that stands out the most. There's one more of. There are more protocols of, right? This is most likely, statistically speaking, that's his knife. And so let's not forget, because that's just step one. Remember, leads can be wrong. So as a prosecution, what do? You take that, right? And you do some research, you do some homework. And that's what they've done. They've looked at the cell towers. Where were you? What's your alibi? What have you done? They've done all that. And none of what Mr. KOHBERGER has said matched with his claim of innocence. Let me tell you what I think is going to happen. When you look back into the first videos, the first court situation between the prosecution and KOHBERGER, you quickly realize and understand that no, actually, the prosecution has done their homework as they should. And the prosecution have delivered all the materials that they have. The only thing that they have not delivered is the report, the genealogy report from the FBI. Because what Ms. Tellerbaby, what KOHBERGER's lawyer is arguing, she's not arguing the content. She just wants to make sure that there's due process. She said it. She wants to make sure, did you call at this time?
But this week, FBI agents are once again entering the home to get more information as the prosecution prepares for suspect Bryan KOHBERGER's long-awaited trial. The University of Idaho says investigators asked to gather documentation in the home that will help them construct visual and audio exhibits and a physical model of the home.
One of the reasons I think that they're trying to do this is so that they can perfectly depict to the jurors where each piece of evidence was and why the placement of that evidence would be considered important.
Police say they recovered a knife sheath in the bed in which Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan were found dead on the third floor of the home. Prosecutors allege that KOHBERGER's DNA proved to be a statistical match to DNA taken from the knife sheath. Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin's bodies were found in a room on the second floor of the home. One of the two surviving roommates was in her own bedroom on the second floor around the time of the murders, when she told police she saw a man in black clothes and a mask walk past her. She says she stood in shock as the man walked toward the sliding glass door leading out of the house before locking herself in her bedroom. The victims' families fought to keep the house standing until the trial is over. In a statement Tuesday, the family of Kaylee Gonzalez and the father of Xana Kernodle said they were grateful the university paused its plans to demolish it.
It's a huge piece of evidence. It's actually the largest piece of evidence in the trial.
Now back to the DNA process that the judge will review. Tomorrow morning, the judge will independently review that genealogy DNA matching process that investigators used to link KOHBERGER to that crime scene. Then the judge will decide if he is going to hand that information over to at the crime scene.
Yeah, statistical match is not a word you throw out like that when you don't have the statistics to back it up. But that's besides the point. During the trial, the university wanted to demolish the house. So thankful they have not. Because now, and as we heard in the previous segment, the prosecution said they've been calling and they've called the FBI and they've asked the FBI, please hurry up. This judge means business. So they called the FBI and the FBI said, okay, look, we have to wait for the DOJ to get our stuff. So you know what we'll do? We'll figure this out and we'll do the best we can. And they're going to do something even better. They're going to reenact, allegedly and hopefully, they're going to reenact this crisis. They're going to reenact the murder. They're going to explain why it is a statistical match. Fascinating. Quite frankly, fascinating. And I tell you why it's fascinating, because they're going to use the DNA to correspond to his movement. That is ridiculously, bonkersly, amazingly awesome in terms of what our technology can do today. Wow, what am I touching? Don't touch anything. Float, fly, fly. That's insane. That's insane. If you got to this point, that means you're enjoying the content thus far. And quite frankly, I am 100% flattered. Let me just remind you, go ahead and press that like button. If you haven't done so, subscribe. And I hope you will enjoy past content that I've made. And I hope you've enjoyed yourself enough to enjoy the future content that I'm going to make. Your support is absolutely indispensable. Thank you. Let's continue. There is something else that's been gathering a lot of attention behind the scenes, and that is the reaction of his family members, his parents. You have to understand, a lot of the time, these criminals and these stories are surreal to most of us. Most people are not murderers. Most people are not killers. Most people just stay home and mind their own business. So we want to know the full fantasy of this criminality. And, they're not speaking much. I don't blame them at all. Matter of fact, I wouldn't be speaking at all. But anyway. So his aunt says something. His aunt spoke to The Sun. She's a UK newspaper, or it doesn't matter. So his aunt says, quote, "When I saw her on TV, I was just lost for words, speechless," she said, appearing visibly upset. "It's heartbreaking. I'm a very caring person. And when I saw the news a little bit today in the living room, I couldn't take it. Hearing about them being knifed, I had goosebumps. I just cried. His aunt says she may not watch the trial if cameras are allowed. Well, too late. She wants to know the answers to many questions surrounding the murders. Okay, fair enough. So she was asked if she thinks her nephew would be found guilty, to which she replied, I think so. Ooh. I just want the truth. I would like to see him or write to him and find out what happened. You know, that's quite significant, the fact that your aunt says or thinks that you're guilty. I'll tell you more about it on my thought. Let's just finish this segment. She said her heart, quote, goes out to the victim's family, but she also feels Kohberger was not well and had battled for years with mental health problems. You think? She was questioned on how she feels. She was questioned on how she feels he will cope if he gets life behind bars. His aunt shook her head and replied, I think he may try and kill himself. That's so significant. Listen to me. Someone doesn't speak like that if there's not a history of something. Do you understand? Nobody just spews words like that just to spew words like that. I mean, granted, it's not mom and dad, but the fact that it's the aunt, she knows something that we clearly don't know. Right? Kohberger has always maintained his innocence, and sources privily told News Nation that the former criminology student remains confident he's going to be exonerated. Isn't it crazy that he's the one who actually instructed his lawyer to write that in a statement? Again, cuckoo. Anyway, the end continues. She explained that there has been a lot of drama in the family, which cannot be revealed for legal reasons. You say? Even before her nephew's arrest, and she has not spoken to his parents. Okay, so the aunt is on the fritz with mom and dad. Gotcha. You know what? That speaks volume, mom and dad, but I get to that in a little bit in my thoughts. Don't throw your tomatoes yet. I will dodge them all. She continues. She has been told that they are devastated, the parents, and their worlds turn upside down, absolutely. And she was initially advised by other relatives to stay silent about her nephew, of course. They are Christians, very religious, she added. I don't understand why that always comes up. Help me understand why your religion dictates or affects anything when it comes to criminality. There are plenty of people who are religious and who commit the heinous crimes. Plenty of people who are religious and abuse children. Plenty of people who are religious and murder people. I don't understand why this comes up. It's as if you're Christian, you're supposed to be always nice 24/7 and not hurt anybody. Really? My dad was religious. Anyway, she continues. Having flown her nephew and his family over to Las Vegas on a handful of occasions when he was younger, she described him as shy and a troubled teenager. Okay, and every teenager is troubled, please. Have you met a non-troubled teenager? Exactly. Doesn't exist. She claimed she was aware of him suffering depressive episodes. There you go. And was told he was on medication. There you go. Although she's not sure what he was prescribed by doctors. Ooh, that aunt is talking a lot. Ooh, aunt. If I was mom and dad, I'll be very upset at you. Yeah. She continues. To me, he was humble and quiet. I didn't see any violence in him. You didn't catch him with any violence. Yeah. She continues, but if you're not on the right medication, you can be triggered. I think he may have snapped. Being rejected. I don't have an answer for why he was depressed. I guarantee he had a wonderful childhood. Jeffrey Dahmer had a wonderful... No, he did not. I take that back. I don't have an answer for why he was... I'm sorry. She continued. Michael, Kohberger's dad, is a wonderful man. He was a janitor and his wife is a beautiful woman. She's a teacher and they worked at the same school. Oh, what a love story. They met at school. Beautiful story. So she continues. I flew Bryan and his family out here a few times. Once I told Bryan I would show him all around Vegas, but the odd thing was he stayed in the house. Guilty. Please, the best thing to do in life is stay home and do nothing. Now as a grown man, I do that, but as a teenager, no, I'm out. I'm out. Dancing, twirling, kissing. Please, I'm out. I'm a teenager. Anyway. She continues. She says she suspected he was taking drugs at the time. Oh, haven't we all? As it has previously been reported, he became a big, heroin addict. Oh, wow. After failing in with the wrong crowd. Oh, my God. She's just describing most teenagers, to be very quite honest. Most teenagers hang out with the wrong people. Most teenagers do drugs. Oh, you're shocked? Talk to your kids. Yeah. And nothing new here. His aunt says it was no big secret he was into the drug scene, and she was concerned he was also doing cocaine, mushroom, drinking hard liquor, and popping pills. Okay, I never did that. Not like that. Like, come on. I was a little bit more discreet, number one, and I was too afraid to die, so I didn't do all that. Maybe one, one a year. So she continues. She hoped he had gotten clean and believed he had an interest in criminology, as others in the family studied forensic and some of his uncles have a military background. Former friends have previously spoken out to allege he sought to be the alpha among his pals. I was just thinking that in my head. That's why I looked at you weird. I just didn't want to offend anybody. Yeah, I was saying that, whoa, Napoleon syndrome much, right? After struggling with his weight during his younger years, yeah. He later reportedly got into kickboxing and became vegan, while friends claim he got more aggressive as he got in shape. He probably was hungry. He probably was hungry. I want a sandwich. She has been left shaken by details that have emerged since and feels for his immediate family. It's important to note that KOHBERGER's parents and two sisters, Amanda and Melissa, have shown support for him and believe he is innocent as they are cooperating with law enforcement. They are said to be struggling financially, as his sisters were also reportedly fired from their jobs as therapists due to their association with the suspect. Listen. All right, look, a few things here I want to talk to you about. Number one, when it came to the aunt, you're talking too much. And the fact that she's talking too much tells me that she's not in good relationship with the family. So therefore, her opinion is probably going to be skewed in some way. But there's nuggets of knowledge there that she's saying. There's obviously a teenager who has a history of depressive state, right? But she's just the aunt. What the hell does she know? She does not live with him as much as mom and dad. So take her testimony with a grain of salt. Now, let's move forward to mom and dad and the two sisters. Number one, I don't think it's right that the sisters lost her job for the fact that she's just a sister of Bryan KOHBERGER. That is absolutely wrong. Now, sister, and this is where I'm going to challenge what I'm reading because, well, let me tell you something, sister. All right? If someone fires you for the cause of you or the sister of an alleged murderer, you sue them. That's wrongful termination in any way, shape, or form. And number one, they broke so many laws. So this right there tells me is either a speculation. She believes she was fired because she was related to KOHBERGER, but officially that's probably was not what's written on the paper. So there's more to this story. So before anybody goes ahead and jumps on the sister, oh my God, sister, read between the lines. So just take that also with a huge grain of salt. But if that is true, that is wrong. And if that is true, sister, get to work and sue. By the way, someone said that suing is very expensive. Yes, it is expensive. But listen, when you have a strong case, you can shop around for a lawyer who will do it for free enough until you get paid. Yeah, please. There's plenty of them out there. Now let's get to the parents. If I'm hanging out at home with my kid and... Hello? First of all, don't open the door. No. I have cameras everywhere. So I'll be looking at the camera and be like, who is this? Why is there the police outside? What is going on, Olympia? What did you do? What's happening? Can you please talk to me? Yeah. First thing I would say, okay. Intercom. Can I help you? Yeah, we have an arrest warrant for Olympia. Oh, you do? Yeah. 1 second. Bitch, what the hell did you do? Yeah, you think it's all kumbaya moment? Are you out of your mind? Are you insane? Absolutely not. No. The conversation between the 1 minute from my daughter to the door, to open the door, is going to be hot and heavy. I'll be screaming and pouting. And then when you go over there to the precinct, I'm coming over there. I'm not, no, I'm not bringing you food. No, the conversation is not, the conversation is what the hell happened? And you best believe, as a parent, I'm going to Google her. I'm asking all the questions. I'm hiring all the lawyers. I'm borrowing money if I don't have the money. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And then when I find out, Olympia, what do you mean your DNA was on the knife sheath? Olympia, this phone cell tower shows you. Olympia, what do you mean you don't remember your alibi? Bessie's alibi. I don't remember. I went for a jog. I went for a drive. I don't remember. Idiot. Anyway. What do you mean you don't remember, Olympia? You have no idea. This cuddling, kumbaya, woo, 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 my baby, doesn't work with me. It doesn't, look, it wouldn't work with me, and I question parents who'd act like that. Because, let me tell you something, you do your kid a big disservice when you cuddle them too much. Cuddle them too much. They won't be functional members of society. Life does not work like that. Oh, Pact Nation. Pact Nation. Anyway, life doesn't work like that. So, this is my disconnect when it comes to the parents. Because there's way too much evidence out there to still be walking around being like, yeah, that's my son and I'm proud. No. Parents are human beings. They're not gods. They're allowed to have embarrassment. They're allowed to have shame. I'm a human. I'm a person. No, if my daughter becomes a murderer, I'll be hell of embarrassed. And I cannot co-sign on that. No. Bryan KOHBERGER is a self-proclaimed criminology connoisseur. He studied criminals. He loves it. He enjoys it. He comes from a family, in the military. He's all about that ish. And from all accounts, let's just assume, for the sake of the final thought, that he's guilty. In his mind, he's like, yeah, I got home, I killed those girls and guy. I got away with it. I'm that good. But he got caught. And he's being tried for it. In those moments, one thing that is standing out the most is his self-preservation complex. It is so strong. It is so strong that for those moments, he's forgetting completely. Again, let's assume he's guilty, but he's forgetting completely the fact that he's allegedly a psychopath. Allegedly mental. No, it's all about how do I survive. The self-preservation complex is so powerful, it's able to override psychosis. Sorry, computer's sleeping. So how is that related to you, to me, and to whatever? Well, I'm going to give you a life lesson. For those who want to listen, of course. You don't have to. It's just my point of view. When you are part of a society, when you're part of a group, when you're part of a membership, right? When you're part of a community, there are unwritten laws, there are written laws, there are expectations out of you, of course. Don't do cartwheels naked in the middle of Times Square, right? Stuff like that. And it's always advised to follow the rules, right? But up to a certain point. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Because when you ignore the concept of your self-preservation, when you follow the rules to the point where you ignore what those consequences or what those actions or what things are being asked of you goes beyond your understanding of the consequences of yourself, then you are entering the world of sycophants. And that is a dangerous realm, because make no mistake, the last moments of a sycophant, they realize and they understand the mistake. The self-preservation kicks in and they realize, holy crap, but that by that point, it's really too late. It's really too late. So this is the final thought of self-preservation. And it's also a thought in relation to what is about to happen the next year. And it's a thought that right now, the whole world is turning upside down, darling. And it's very important that as we navigate our households and as we try to manage our own lives, that we don't forget that I love you up to a certain point. I want you up to a certain point. I need you up to a certain point. Carte blanche does not exist in this rule of life because the consequences are extreme and huge, and I am not willing to pay that price. Are you? I hope not. That's it. Thank you so much. Look, we're not done. Let's go to my Let's Talk. Welcome to my Let's Talk. This is where I take off my jacket, get myself comfortable, talk to you a little bit more. If you got to this point and you really like me, thank you so much. I like you back. So please press like. Press like. Subscribe. And let's talk. How you've been? You've been good? Perfect. I know it's been a while. I've missed you. But I've had to oh my God, so much has happened. I've had to converge my thoughts, and I've had to grow up, to be very quite honest. Let me tell you what happened. First of all, Olympia got really sick. Prior to her getting sick, I'm sure you guys know, she was not sleeping. There was a sleep regression going on, so it was sleep deprivation, taking care of the kid, and I still have to work. Let's not forget about that. Bills got to be paid, darlings. So it was just impossible. It was just completely impossible to even put any brain cells into anything at all. No. Yeah, and when stuff get very tough like that, I go on autopilot. And I don't remember a lot of stuff. Don't remember. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. It's just like 1, 2, 3, go. I get very systematic. But it needs to be like that, because if I stop and think, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to freeze because there's so much going on. Let me tell you what happened today. You see how red my eye is? You see that? You have no idea. Olympia just poked me in the eye and then tried to take my eye out. You're wondering what the hell happened? Okay, I'm going to fast forward you. I haven't seen you in a while. We have a routine here in the house during the weekday. And the routine is in the morning, I take her to daycare. I pick her up at 4:30, and then we play. We interact, because otherwise I don't see her the whole week. So no, we interact, and in our playtime, I'm speaking to her in French. I'm teaching her the language. So I'm like, où est le nez de papa? Où est la bouche papa? Où sont les yeux de papa? And she was like, but she did it like that, like that. Like it wasn't like it's here. So I had no time to blink and whatnot, and it hurt so bad, like I have a migraine from it. This is Olympia. What? This is Olympia. What are you talking about? No, it's Olympia. I have plenty of projects. I have plenty of ideas, and I look disorganized, but I'm very organized. And I move through things in a systematic way. I'm a process king. Process is my middle name. Okay, so Yeah, so these project I've been working on it for a very long time uh, before she was conceived. She was conceived as a thought. I worked on the process, and then she was conceived, the other way, as if it's conventional. No, the surrogacy way in the laboratory. Yes, it was conceived there. I've got 2 new contracts, big contracts. Super excited about it. Brand new contracts. So when I get a new contract, it's a whole team. It's a hiring process going on. Like it's a whole shabazz. Okay, I got 2 of those. Super happy about that. I get to meet new people. I get to converse with people. It's really cool. That's a cool thing about my job. And then you have to put on the show, darling. Now that's the thing I don't like about my job, because Olympia was sick. I was overwhelmed, but I had to go to work like, good morning, hello, how you doing? Do you want to exercise? Should we exercise? And all I want to do is literally, I don't want to talk. I don't feel like talking. Please, just don't look at me. Just go over there and please do your push-ups. I don't want to talk. I don't want to converse. But no, I have to sell. I mean, I've already got the contract, but and then you have to give them what, gotta do stuff. So hard, because I have to be happy where all I want to do is just not talk. I'm an introvert and I can't seem to recharge. All I want to do is just be quiet. I don't really want to talk. Sit there and look at me, but just don't talk. Hard as ever. And I'm sitting there, all I can think of is I'm so exhausted. My daughter is sick. Hello, I'm like, hi. Yeah. And I'm sitting there trying to entertain you, not you, but the person that comes to the office, solve a billion problems, and I still have to, I have a spouse, so I still have to be, come on, darling. Yeah, of course. I'm married. What do you think we do? Yeah. But that still has to happen. Yeah. I make it seem like I'm being forced to do it. No, I'm not being forced to do it. And I just processed the way it came out. I'm not being forced to do it. No, but what I'm saying is no, because intimacy in my marriage is very high. Sorry, I don't mean to boast. But intimacy does not mean sex all the time, right? So, we joke, we laugh, we giggle, we talk a lot. Matter of fact, I speak to my spouse more than I speak to anybody else, to be very quite honest, as it should be. No, so, but it's just that, sometimes conversation leads to something else, and then you're so exhausted, and you're like, oh God, fine, let's do it. Whatever. I'm sure none of you are virgins. I'm sure you all know how that works. Anyway, what else? So yeah. Yeah. I hope you've been okay. I hope things been good. Oh, by the way, it's a 1-year anniversary of the channel. How fitting. I can't believe that 1 year ago I met you. My birthday was November 4th, by the way. I'm 38 years old. You know what I did for my birthday? You're going to laugh. My mother-in-law came and watched the baby. And we ordered plantain and smoked salmon. We ate. Like, we pretended as if there was no baby. It was the best. It was the best date ever. I love my daughter, but it was the best. It was like, wow. Yeah, there was no work. There was no baby. It was just me. It's just like the old times, And it was a good weather outside. Woke up. Exercised. Showered. Ate. Giggled. We went for walks in the garden. We talked about where we're going as a family. We talked about how far we've come as a family. Yeah, I gotta tell you something. As much as much as life is so hard right now, it's hard. Life is hard. It's really hard right now. My daughter, Olympia. No, shut up. It's the best feeling ever. I'm living my best life. This is the best time. I'm raising a kid. I'm raising a kid. I'm raising a human being. She's gonna grow up and be like, that's my papa. You know what I realized? I realized it this week. I don't know what it feels like to have a dad. I don't know that experience. I always say I wish Christopher's dad was alive when we first met. His dad passed away 1 year before we met. And I always ask, like, how would he be? And, you know, my mother-in-law says Christopher's father was so affectionate. He would like, he would touch them all the time. He would tell them he loves them. He would be like in your face and stuff. Like he was a dad. I said, how did he sound? How was his temperament? How was his humor? Because I know he would have been I know he would have been a father to me. Because my mother-in-law is like a mom to me. And my mom is alive, and we have a good enough relationship where my mother-in-law could never take the place of my mom. But I think anybody could take the place of my dad. It's too late now. I'm a grown man. I was grown when I met Chris, but I mean, like, I'm beyond that. But when I'm in my 20s, because I met Christopher in my 20s, yeah, the door was open for a father figure. And there's moments where, you know, because, you know, life is hard now. And I sit down and I say, I wish someone would tell me it's going to be okay. But listen, not just anyone. A parent. I want my parent to hug me and, well, not my father, but my mother-in-law doesn't work. I want the touch. I want a parental touch to tell me, you're doing great. It's going to be okay. Oh, things happen, but it's going to be okay. You'll be fine. You're overreacting. It's all in your head. It just feels like I have so much on my shoulder. I have so many people who rely on me. My shoulders are so heavy. One mistake, it ripples through the universe, my dears. You have no idea. If I go under, sometimes I have to muster the strength, not even for me, for other people, because if I go under, it's really bad. And sometimes it feels like it's very heavy in terms of like responsibility. I just wish someone would just it's okay, stop being an idiot, stop being so stupid, it's all right. And I know what you're thinking, like, doesn't Chris say that to you? Sorry. No, it's not the same. Because my mother-in-law tells me that it's not the same than having your parent tell you that. That's addressed to my mom. Hey, Mom, are you watching? She doesn't watch. My mother actually doesn't like the fact that I do YouTube. She's like, you put too much of your life out there. I know, Mom, I know. I'm trying to be smart about it. I know. Anyway, thank you for watching. I have to go record the next video. No. We're friends. I can burp. Please. Goodbye.